Hello, my name is Matt Bird, and I want to welcome you to the PublishU podcast, where we explore the real life stories of authors from around the world. Today, I'm talking to Simon Howard, who has written a book called A Reasoned Faith, and Simon lives in Buckinghamshire, England. Simon, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you, Matt.
Tell us a little bit about your career, Simon. You've done a few interesting things, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I haven't worked for too many companies, but my career has been interesting. Studied microbiology at university. Didn't want to work in a lab, so I got a job as a medical rep in Norfolk. A couple of years of that, became a sales manager for the west of England. Then I moved into marketing, and one of the products I had in marketing was an expensive product. And a friend set up a company, and I joined him. And so I worked as a director in a consultancy looking at communicating expensive medicines. How do you develop the health economic cost effectiveness arguments for medicines? How do you look at the evidence base sat behind new drugs? So we were basically helping the drug industry bring new product to the market. And so I was happily working for my friend Andy for 6 years as a director. And then he was, one morning I got this horrible phone call saying he was killed in a motorbike accident.
Oh
So
my goodness.
I had to basically decide to go back into the pharmaceutical industry or try and help the company to survive. So I ended up inheriting his business.
Yeah.
For the next 10 years, I built that business up into an international business, and I sold that in 2012. And then I've put the money that I earned from that, some of it back into setting up a charity. So I now help with HIV orphans in Eswatini in Southern Africa. So yeah, I'm on my second career. Maybe the author is a third career, but I do that in parallel with helping out HIV orphans in Africa.
Yeah, fascinating. And what's the name of the charity, Simon?
My charity is called Challenge Ministries Swaziland or Challenge Ministries UK.
Yeah, yeah. And you're focused on helping children in Southern Africa, did you say?
Yeah, it's in Eswatini, which is in Southern Africa. And we do
Yeah.
three things. We have an orphan care program. So we run a village, the size of the village I live in, and we run that as a town to care for hundreds of orphans. So we're raising children basically. Uh,
Yeah.
we have two rehabilitation centres. So we have men and women centres who often addicts or people have been in the sex trade or sex trafficked. So it's a year-long program helping people who are vulnerable, adults who are vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then the third thing we do is church planting. So we planted, I think, 38 churches in the last few years. So we have
Wow.
an intention to plant 60 churches in order to reach the whole country of Eswatini.
Wow. So from medical sales rep
Yeah,
to yeah, NGO leader. My goodness me.
that's
What
right.
what what a journey. And the latest feather in your cap is that you've written and published a book, which is awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah, I enjoyed the process. Thank you.
That how do you feel about the fact that you're now a globally published author, Simon?
I love the fact, actually. I think it is my third career. I think I have other books up my sleeve, so I look forward to the next series.
Excellent. Well, I always say on the Writing My Book course, you learn all the skills and techniques you need to go on and write as many books as you like. So I look forward to book number two, Simon. But let's look at book number one a little bit more. I mean, what first made you think I should write a book?
I probably wanted to write a book. I love reading, and I probably wanted to write a book all my life.
Mm,
Just didn't know how to start. I obviously was busy, so I didn't have the time to get into it. And just knowing the structure and the process and how to do that. So yeah, I've been wanting to for a long time. I love reading, and so the idea I've got so many different ideas, and
mm,
not just one genre either. So
yeah.
I think I've got a kids' book up my sleeve and a couple of other novels up my sleeve. So yeah,
Ooh.
something different.
Very good. So what was it that helped you in the Writing My Book course to write your book, Simon?
Well, as I said, I've wanted to for a long time. and I just didn't know how to start, and I didn't have the discipline. So I sold my company 10 years ago. So you would have thought I had the time and energy to actually do it, but I never put aside time to actually do it. And so it was meeting you and talking through your course. Write your book in 100 days sounds fantastic to me. And I think what it gave me is the discipline to set aside the time to actually go and do it.
Yeah,
And then when you've got an idea, so for me, I wanted to communicate my faith story. Um,
yeah,
I've got loads of friends who were atheists like I was. I've got family members I love who would love to experience what I've experienced with my relationship with God.
yeah,
Um, and I wanted to communicate that. Um, and so that putting it down on paper, there's so many ideas. So how
yeah,
do you break down what seems like a gargantuan task into a smaller set of tasks? And what I liked about your course was
mm,
just the weekly discipline of meeting,
mm,
the breaking it down, the brainstorming to actually work out what you can communicate. And I loved the way that you got us to structure the chapters before we even started writing. And so by the time I actually got to writing, I like structure and I like discipline. And so it was like a set of mini essays to write each week for 10 weeks.
yeah.
And at the end of it, you've got a 40,000 word book. So yeah, I really appreciated the structured approach that you took to that.
Mm, mm. Great to hear. Thank you for the feedback. And now you have this book that we can all buy and read. So, A Reasoned Faith is its title. Simon, just give us a little bit of an insight into your book.
Yeah. So as I said a second ago, I was an atheist. I was a card-carrying atheist. I studied sciences. I did a thesis in evolution at A level. I studied microbiology. I did geology, so I knew about dinosaurs and paleontology and ages of the universe and stuff. Um, and I really thought that you had to commit intellectual suicide to believe in a fairy tale God. And I really thought Jesus was a myth, just like the Greek myths that I enjoyed writing about, reading about. Um, and then I met this guy, Andy, who I worked for. He was a Christian in the next door office. And through my relationship with him, um, I started asking questions. And then through those questions, I came to faith myself. And so I've had 30 years now of going from being an atheist to a believer and loads of amazing experiences with my relationship with Jesus. And so I just wanted to communicate through this book that God is real and God can be real. He's real to me, but he can be real to other people. He's not just an intellectual idea. He's a person in whom you can have a relationship.
Yeah,
And I wanted to articulate that in the book. How can God be real to you? And do you need to set aside all your intellect to actually believe? And I think the answer to that is no. You can still be an intellectual. You can still be logical and scientific and mathematic, uh, and believe and have a relationship in Jesus.
yeah, amazing. So you've written this book for friends, family members, people in your ecosystem who might be, yeah, they might be avid atheists as you were, or just a little bit uncertain about taking a leap of faith.
Yeah. Yeah, and my oldest daughter got married recently, so I'm hoping one day to have grandchildren. And it's a legacy book. I think you put them into categories, don't you? It's a
Yeah,
legacy. So wouldn't it be amazing if my grandchildren or great grandchildren or people that I've never met yet, people I would love, wouldn't it be amazing that they can read something that Granddad wrote? That's really what this is about.
yeah, that's quite a powerful thought, isn't it? Really quite a powerful thought.
Yeah,
And obviously you're passionate about your faith and passionate about other people experiencing the faith you have.
yeah.
Um, have you seen one of your friends or family members particularly grow into that faith in recent times?
Well, my son-in-law, he started going out with my daughter 6 years ago, He was just completely unchurched, but he's an open book himself. He's asking questions, obviously being brought into a family that go to church. He's been to Africa with me on a trip, and so he's experienced the reality of God at work. We've seen miracles in our family. We've seen some powerful impact of God at work, and so one of the motives there was for my son-in-law, who is growing in his faith, and so
Yeah,
maybe this book will be something that encourages him further in his
yeah,
faith walk.
yeah, yeah. Amazing. So, Simon, what is your hope for this book? I mean, you've kind of said it a number of times, but what would be your dream?
My ultimate dream with this book is people would read it. They would either realize that God is real and ask Jesus into their life. That would be the ultimate. And the last page has a prayer that enables you to ask Jesus into your life. But even if you don't go that far, I was an atheist, having never considered the evidence for faith. And I think you can read this book and realize that I should have an opinion based on investigation. And so the least I'd want is somebody to read the book and then explore further, go to a church, do an alpha course, talk to Christian friends. But yeah, I hope this inspires people to explore the Christian faith further.
Mm, mm. Amazing, really amazing. Well, Simon, thank you so much for joining me today to have this conversation. And thank you all for listening to the PublishU podcast featuring the real life stories of authors from around the world. If you're interested in becoming an author like Simon, please do visit our website at www.publishu.com. That's the letter U, publishu.com. And if you enjoyed this broadcast, make sure you subscribe for more. Thank you for joining us, and goodbye for now.